This right here is somewhat of an old story. It's not brand new. Marvel is making an attempt to bring people back into the seats in the cinema. They're making, I think, a legitimate attempt. I don't think it's just, oh, we're just going to, throw some stuff out there, throw some stuff at the wall, see what sticks. Are people going to come back? You can make that argument one way or another. You could say, yes, everybody's coming back because of Chris Evans' return. And you can say this is not good enough. It's too late. It may be too late. That's possible. For someone like me, it's not too late. For me, there's always a way for these companies to come back and give the fans, me being a fan, what I want to see. I want to see the Avengers portrayed as accurately as possible on the big screen. As I watch movies, as I read books, as I see books adapted into cinematic format, I begin to understand more and more why not everything translates as well from a book to the big screen. And sometimes changes need to be made in order to make this thing fit. I understand that. And this is why I say all I require is give me the most accurate, fun, and engaging adaptation of the Avengers and Marvel's universe in general on the big screen as you can. And what Marvel did from Iron Man to Infinity War, to Endgame rather, wasn't perfect, but the execution was more than adequate. And I think most Marvel fans would agree it was more than adequate. There was a lot of changes made, a lot of story variations. What we see in the MCU wasn't necessarily exactly one for one story-wise for what we have in the Marvel universe and comic books. But I was okay with the changes that were made. They were entertaining, they were engaging. I was like, all right, I'm okay with that. I see this change you made, variation in this story. I don't have a problem with that. But this Chris Evans thing, I think this shows something. Now, again, this is from last week. Last week, obviously, was the Christmas week. I recorded some videos, tried to get up as much videos as possible, but I also tried to relax, take my time, and take a break as many people did. But when I saw this story, I remember thinking to myself, in my humble opinion, I think there are more people out there like me than not. And what I mean by that, I think there are more people out there that are willing to give Marvel a chance if they see, okay, Marvel, you're throwing me a bone, but you're not just throwing me anything. You're doing something that's worthwhile. Let's see where you take this. So I say, obviously, they always had this opportunity. You never know which way things will go. But I say they have a big opportunity to gain back the trust of fans and gain back some excitement depending on what they do with this Doomsday. And it seems like they're going all in on the X-Men. And it seems like they're probably going to give us a very enjoyable adaptation of the X-Men on screen with a lot of action. Obviously, it's a comic book movie. It's got to have some action. Well, I guess it doesn't have to, but you'll do well to have as much action as possible. So what am I talking about? Chris Evans, Avengers Doomsday teaser explodes with over 1 million likes in 1 hour. Now, I've had this YouTube channel now for 4 years now, 4 or 5 years. I've been on YouTube making, different videos for about 5 years. And I will say, I typically know when people like the content that I've put out because the likes go up very quickly. Now, with me, it's a small amount of likes in comparison to this. But I realize when I look at one of my videos and I see them likes really going up, I'm like, oh, people must really resonate with whatever this point is I made in this video, which tells me 1 million likes in an hour, no matter how big you are as a platform, Marvel obviously and Disney is huge, that's still nothing to shake a stick at. And I think that's actually a good metric to judge the temperature of the fans. And obviously fans are like, okay, now you've got my attention. This doesn't mean you're back, but now you've got my attention. What will you do with this? Marvel Studios' first Avengers Doomsday teaser featuring the return of Chris Evans as Steve Rogers didn't just confirm his comeback, it detonated across social media. And I would say 1 million likes in an hour, even if it's across multiple platforms, that's a detonation across social media. That's huge. Within just 1 hour of release, the teaser generated over 1 million likes across Marvel Studios' official platforms, signaling massive fan excitement and immediate engagement. And this is exactly what I'm saying. This tells Marvel, okay, you've not made money. Fans have not showed up for what you've done the past, 5 years or so. With these likes, we're telling you you're on the right path. What is that right path? You're giving us the Avengers that we want to see. You're bringing, it's not just nostalgia. I know some people say this is just nostalgia. Now, this is not me running defense for Marvel per se, but it is me running defense. And I'm not afraid to say that in this regard. When somebody does something that you actually want, you can either continually ridicule them or you could say, no, wait a minute. Now that is actually what I wanted from you. I think getting rid of the original Avengers after Endgame, I kind of understand where they were going. I see what they were trying to do, but I don't think that was the right execution. Personally, I'd say the one thing I would have done differently, but like, who am I? Who am I? This might not have worked, but the one thing I would have probably done differently is I would not have had Tony Stark's die in Endgame. I would have had something else happen. Maybe he's injured, right? Maybe he's injured really bad. And you figure out a way around that, but killing him off, because what you do when you do that, now you've destroyed one of the most beloved characters. Now you have to figure out how to move forward with Avengers without your anchor. Now, if they did that and transition in Endgame, transition into the X-Men, which did they own Fox by that time? I don't think they own Fox yet, so they couldn't do that. So in that regard, I understand things that were done. It's hard sometimes, I think, for us as fans to understand why certain decisions are made and why certain decisions are not made. Some decisions we can all agree, yeah, that wasn't the right way to go. But some decisions, it's like, yo, we don't have enough information. We don't know everything going on behind the scenes. There could have been a legitimate reason for why X, Y, or Z decision was made. You just don't really know. Anyway, back into the article. The response reinforces what fan reactions have already made clear. Audiences want Chris Evans back, and Steve Rogers still matters to the MCU. I'm gonna be honest. When I saw that first Captain America movie, or let's say before that movie, I wasn't convinced that Chris Evans was gonna really sell it as Steve Rogers. I was still remembering him from Fantastic Four. And that Fantastic Four movie he was in wasn't the best. So I didn't know. I was like, I don't know. But after seeing the movie, the way the script was written, I mean, that all the Americana, I loved Captain America. I was like, oh, Chris Evans is the dude. And the pairing of him and Robert Downey Jr. with the Avengers, man, it was great. It was a match made in cinema heaven. In its first hour online, the Avengers Doomsday teaser posted by Marvel Studios delivered staggering engagement numbers. On Instagram, the teaser pulled in over 1.2 million likes and more than 22,000 comments. On Facebook, it generated over 114,000 likes, excuse me, and more than 4,300 comments. On YouTube, the video surpassed 229,000 likes and more than 11,000 comments and crossed 1.1 million views almost immediately. Now, obviously, if this was something fans didn't want, that ratio, likes, dislikes, and comments, this would have been a completely different scenario. But this is a good thing, in my opinion, because fans are giving Marvel positive feedback on what they want to see, and vice versa. If the movie comes out and it's not great, like look, I'm gonna keep it 100% real. They have to knock this out of the park, and I think Marvel understands they have to knock this out of the park. And I think there's a lot of good signs. Bringing the Russo brothers back, that was a great sign. Bringing Chris Evans back, a great sign. Bringing Robert Downey Jr. back, even though they brought him back as Doom, to me, that was a signal and an olive branch to fans. Again, whether that will pan out for them, we shall see. On X, the teaser racked up, 203,000 likes, 3,800 comments, 63,000 reposts, and more than 5.2 million views. Obviously, Twitter views are a little different, but still, you get the point. For a short character tease, the numbers are massive, especially compared to recent MCU promotional efforts. And that's the thing. This trailer, there was not much to it. It wasn't anything crazy. You see Steve Rogers on his bike. You see, from this right here, you see the the helmet. You see him holding a kid. Obviously, it's his kid. So him and Peggy Carter had a kid. Fans really like that. They really like that a lot, and it's obvious. The scale and speed of response underline one thing: Steve Rogers still resonates more than any post-Endgame replacement, and this is just emphatically true. Marvel officially ended Chris Evans' run in Avengers Endgame, passing the Captain America mantle to Sam Wilson. Since then, fan engagement around the character has never reached the same level. The immediate explosion surrounding Evans' return suggests Marvel knows exactly which lever to pull heading into Avengers Doomsday Legacy. And if they know which lever to pull, that tells me they understand which levers they have to pull if they want this thing to work. Again, I think there are certain things Marvel has to do, and they don't really have much say in that, unless they just don't want to make money. But I think Marvel does want to make money, and I think they are making attempts to head in the right direction. Now, I will go into this understanding that there's still going to be remnants of things you probably won't like too much, right? Unless they made a whole bunch of changes, which that's possible. So I'm not going to go into this with the goal of nitpicking every single thing that comes up I don't like. That's not my thing anyway. I'm going in looking for something I can enjoy. If they give me fan service, not fan service through the whole movie, because that can get kind of overboard, but just throw a little bone every now and again, good action, good adaptation, good action, interaction and involvement with the X-Men and the mutants. And, of course, if Dr. Doom is a boss, this movie can soar. And the thing about Robert Downey Jr., even though there was a lot of hesitation, I don't think people really knew what to think about Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. He is such a phenomenal actor that I believe, I know for a fact he can sell us. Now, will he sell? I think he will. Robert Downey Jr., when he goes into characters, man, he doesn't just sell it, he oversells it. So I really think he can do that with Dr. Doom and be one of the best Dr. Dooms we've ever seen on screen. Marvel Studios is currently rolling out Avengers Doomsday through serialized character teasers rather than a traditional trailer drop. Starting with Steve Rogers appears to have been a calculated move. Yes, indeed. And I think, was the next one that X-Men leak? I think it was. I still haven't seen the X-Men leak. I'm waiting for all of the trailers to be released in HD, and that's when I'm watching them. I watched the Steve Rogers one. I liked it. The engagement spike instantly reframed Avengers Doomsday as an event rooted in the MCU's foundation rather than another reset or soft reboot. And look, if they're rebooting with the collision of the different MCU universes and different, multiverses dying and Doom coming in as a result of that. Apparently, Steve Rogers going back in time, having a kid with Peggy Carter, messed up the timeline. Doom's family died as a result. He's searching for Steve Rogers for some get back. And in my opinion, that's a good way to reboot. I don't have an issue with that. I don't take issue with that at all. The hype for MCU hasn't been this big since Endgame. With the next teaser expected to focus on Chris Hemsworth, Thor, Marvel is clearly leaning into its most popular legacy characters to rebuild momentum ahead of the full trailer. And I think, so this is what I think. I think this is what this kind of proves. I think had Marvel taken a strategy with Endgame, that what we're going to do is we're not just going to cut these characters you love off. We're going to keep these characters around for a short while building you up to love these other characters we're bringing along. Like now, that would be the X-Men, and I think that's what they're trying to do now. And then as you fall in love with these characters, we can now allow that torch to be passed and move on with another story involving these characters. It doesn't have to be Avengers. It can be X-Men now, but it has to be good. I am really curious to see what they do with the X-Men. I really am.